Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another special video. And in today's video, I'm going to be addressing one of the most frequently asked questions that I receive from students and new astrologers, which is, what is the most important thing to focus on in an astrology reading? Where do I start? How do I structure this reading? And so basically, there's no one right answer to this question. There's no one right way to structure a reading. There's no one right way to determine what you feel is most important to focus on in an astrology reading. However, I can give you my opinion on this topic, and I can give you my best tips based on my experience in working with thousands of clients and students all over the world. And so that's what we're going to be getting into today in this quick but very value-packed video for those of you who are interested in learning how to give readings or beginning to practice giving readings. If that's you, then you are in the right place. And so before we get into this, I just want to mention that I do have a free PDF download. It's my Astrology 101 quick reference guide. And so if you are new to astrology, if you're just learning how to piece together the chart and how to give readings, this is a really great reference material to have on hand. It's free of charge. And so the link to download this guide is down in the description below. It's a PDF and it's printable. And for those of you who are looking to become professional astrologers or to learn how to give readings, I have a 32-week astrology course, the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. The waitlist is open for next year's enrollment, and so you can find that link down in the description below. This is a perfect course for those of you who are ready to cut through the chaos, clear up confusion, and learn to give meaningful, accurate astrology readings with confidence. And so with that out of the way, let's get into my three tips are the three most important areas to focus on when giving an astrology reading. And so first and foremost, the best rule of thumb and the best way to do this and to figure out what to focus on is to listen to your clients. It sounds simple, but so many of you are not doing this. And so basically, what you should be doing is focusing on what your client wants and what your client believes that they need, as opposed to what you feel they need. And so the thing that I always do before I go into an astrology reading, whether or not that reading is live or pre-recorded, is I ask my clients, what topics of focus are they most interested in learning about? What questions specifically do they have? What's going on in their life right now that they need guidance on or that they want to learn more about when it comes to themselves, when it comes to their strengths, their weaknesses, their life experience. And that's what I highly, highly recommend that you do, because you are not the expert in the client's life in their own personal experience. They are the best resource, the best expert when it comes to understanding themselves and understanding their life experience, because they're the ones who are living it, right? And so maybe, yes, we want to position ourselves as the expert, being astrologers, like, hey, I have all of this really interesting insight and information for you here, but that doesn't mean that you know better than they do when it comes to what they need. And so I highly recommend always getting feedback from your clients, asking them what they want, what they need, what they desire to focus on in the reading, and then focusing on the areas of the chart that are associated with those topics, with those questions, digging out the answers from that space, right? From that space of understanding what your client is looking for. And so that is first, number one, the biggest priority. In some circumstances, you're going to get clients or friends or family members, whoever you're practicing on, that are going to just say that they don't know what they want to focus on. They want a general reading. They want to leave it up to you, right? Because they do believe you're the expert and they're not sure what they're looking for from the astrology reading. Or maybe worst case scenario, they're a skeptic, right? And they're just trying to see if this astrology thing has any value. And so if that's the case, what I recommend doing is focusing on what's being activated within the birth chart. And what I mean by that is take a look at their chart and take a look at what's being activated based on various timing techniques. You can utilize transits, right? And so if you have a certain area of the chart or certain planets that are being activated by transit, transit, you would want to maybe start with those planets in the birth chart outside of the transits, because you can only understand a transit based on what it's activating in the chart itself, right? So you have to understand those areas of the chart and what they represent, what they say about the client and their experience first, before you can explain those transits to begin with. And chances are those areas of life, those energies in their chart that are being activated by the transit, those areas are what they're most interested in learning about anyway, even if they're not expressing that, because this is what's coming up in their life right now in real time. This is what's actually being activated. And so it is going to take on a greater importance for the individual that you're doing the reading for. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be kind of blown away. Like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about this. I was just wondering about this. I was just trying to sort through this exact topic, this exact thing that you have decided to pinpoint in my chart. You don't have to just stick with transits for this either. There are a lot of different techniques that you can utilize for timing and for understanding what is being activated in an individual's natal chart. You can use transits first and foremost, but you can also use solar returns, you can use lunar returns, you can use annual progressions, annual perfections or secondary progressions. There are all sorts of techniques. It's just dependent on what you are most comfortable with, what you have had the most experience and training in, and what you find the most valuable in your own work, in your own experience in utilizing astrology in your own life, or with friends and family, or with clients if that's where you're at. Although I'm sure that if you're watching this video, maybe you're not quite there yet. But yeah, so that's my second tip. So focus on what the client wants. Number 2, focus on what's being activated in the chart in the moment. And you can do that as a supplement to focusing on what the client wants. Maybe you answer their questions in the first 10 minutes because you're really laser focused on it, and you're able to get in there and give them all the details. And then from there, you focus on what you know is being activated. The third rule of thumb is especially important if you are a new student or a brand new astrologer, if you're really not comfortable giving readings yet and you're really stretching yourself out there to practice. This could also be used in combination with focusing on what's activated in the birth chart. And that is starting with what you feel most comfortable interpreting. And so if you know that you have a really solid understanding of the first house, the ascendant, the first house ruler, start there. If you are most comfortable with understanding the sun, if you see something in an individual's chart and you are like, wow, I really know what this is going to represent, start there. That is not only going to build your confidence and build your client's confidence with you, but it's also going to lead to follow-up questions from the client, from the friend, from the family member that you're reading for, that will help to continue along with guiding the remainder of the reading. And for me personally, when I give an astrology reading, if I'm doing a general reading, the place that I'll always start to kind of ease into the reading is the ascendant, because the ascendant and the first house and the ascendant ruler represent the individual. They represent you. They represent the self, very literally in the chart, where everything else can represent all of the other experiences, all of the other potentials, all of the other relationships and environments that are interacting with you, with the self, with the first house. And so that's a really great place to start, because people highly identify with the energy of the ascendant sign, planets in the first house, planets aspecting the ascendant. And so automatically right out the gate, they're going to be like, wow, all right, you get me. Something's going on here. You understand something about me, right? And that's going to, of course, lead to follow-up questions. But again, that builds your confidence, especially if you're brand new and you're a little nervous about giving readings, because that's going to light the client up, right? They're going to be like, wow, you're doing a great job. That builds their confidence with you, which is great as well. And that also, again, leads into other areas of exploration. And I like to start there, because it's not just that it's like, yeah, this is a comfortable place to start. It's usually also a place where there's not a lot of baggage. It's not super intense. Sometimes it is, in which case I might start somewhere else. But the reason I personally like to lead with that energy of the ascendant is because it's a little lighter. Yes, it's a strong energy that the client identifies with, but it's also usually not super intense. I don't like to just go in there and just stab at somebody's insecurities or stab at at somebody's weaknesses or get into the really intense stuff first thing as soon as I jump into a reading. It's about kind of easing somebody into the experience, especially if your client is new to astrology. They're going to be a little freaked out already that you're able to determine all of these things about them. You don't want to just jump in and stab at their wounds and jump into their trauma or whatever it is that you see in their chart immediately, right? And so that's the way that I do it. It's kind of like building a rapport and starting with something that's relatable, that lights the client up, that you feel comfortable with, and that also is not super, super heavy, although of course you will ease into that heavier stuff as you move on into the reading. And so that's what I highly recommend doing. So just to summarize before we sign out here, focus on what the client wants as opposed to what you want to focus on because they know best. Number two is focus on what's being activated in the chart in the moment using a variety of timing techniques, which can include transits, solar returns, lunar returns, annual perfections, secondary progressions, or any other timing technique that you choose to work with. And then the third rule of thumb is start where you feel most comfortable, because chances are if you have a strong foundation in astrology, if you have the right teachers and the right resources, the client or your friend or your family member or whoever you're reading for is going to resonate with everything that you're saying, or at least a lot of what you're saying. And so that, of course, is going to serve that purpose of building confidence and guiding the reading, right? Because there will be follow-up questions. Somebody will say something that will lead you to the next area that you want to focus on in the reading. So I hope that you found this information helpful. Let me know in the comment section down below if you thought this information was helpful, if you are a new astrologer, if you're just starting out giving readings, what's been your experience? Where do you like to start also? Because again, there's no right way, there's no right place to start. There's no hard and fast rule for what's most important to focus on in the chart. It's a matter of opinion, it's a matter of preference, and it's a matter of experience. You'll learn where to go the more you practice giving readings, the more you practice astrology. And so thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with your fellow astrology lovers if you feel like they could benefit from the information I shared with you today. Bye, everyone.